It wasn't the night the fans wanted, it wasn't the return to the Brasileirão that Fluminense fans or even Bragantino fans expected, especially after taking the lead and holding on to the advantage for so long. It wasn't such a tense night, right? Not like it should have been. But, Felipe Rudieri, there it is, 1-1, a point for each, and over to you, my friend. This draw is fair. This effort from Fluminense at the end brought a fair result.
The sending off influenced things a bit, right? Fluminense attacked and did what was needed. They tied the game right at the last minute with Ignacio, a good play there from Canobio. Ignacio also got involved in the play during the equalizer. He headed the ball into the box, there was confusion and Canobio recovered it and crossed. So there was a real battle right to the end, there was a brawl, literally, right? We saw it here, there was a big fight, people got sent off. Really exciting game, okay, Borges? Regardless of that, we regret the fight, right? That disagreement there, the send-offs, but it was a really great game to watch, a tough, fast-paced match. The refereeing, even though there were some controversies, I thought it was good refereeing by Davila Cerda. I think he let the game flow, and I think that should be the standard. You don't have to call every little foul. Also, VAR doesn't need to go looking for a needle in a haystack, you know? Let the game flow, the match was good. I'm actually curious to know how much time the ball was in play and how much time it was stopped. Obviously, all this confusion and the red cards end up bringing that average down a bit. But the game itself, right, aside from those little incidents, the match was very open. In the first half, Bragantino had opportunities, Fluminense lacked a bit of creativity, and Bragantino deservedly took the lead. In the first half, Bragantino played better, had opportunities, Fluminense only had one or two, didn't create much, couldn't find the spaces, right? Sometimes the goalkeeper saved, the defense managed to block shots. And then, in the second half, the game started off pretty open and the red card came just 15 or 20 minutes into the second half. Yeah, Santana gets sent off, catches Lucio Acosta in the face with his elbow and he deserved to be sent off, okay? And then it turns into almost a monologue, with Fluminense attacking and Bragantino only defending. Wagner Mancini made some substitutions, brought in defenders, put in a taller defense there to try to clear it, which by the way Fluminense didn't have, right? I was even going to say, man, in this game situation, it would have been better to put Castillo in the game since he's a taller player, good in the air, a natural striker. And then the defenders had to go up front to score the goal. And it wasn't just in that play either. Fluminense had already spent about 5 or 10 minutes with the defenders up front, and the ones staying back were René and Martinelli to stop any possible counter-attack from Bragantino. But Fluminense fought until the end and managed to score the goal kind of in a scramble, right? Talking about Hulk real quick, he kept showing for the ball the whole time, had some chances, missed some, got some right, took responsibility. That's what we want from Hulk. Obviously, we want him to score, right? The tricolor fans expect a lot from him, but he kept showing for the ball. He really put in the work, you know? He had his position, but he would move out. He kept showing for the ball. He turned, he took shots at the goal. So Hulk, he's just missing a little bit, but in this game, I thought he was very involved. He found his place in the team, right? He managed to work well for the team there, and Fluminense leaves with a well-deserved draw because of their fight, their effort. I thought this result was just right, Borges.
Fluminense stays in third place with 32 points. Bragantino goes to 30. They temporarily surpass Atlético Paranaense, have the same number of wins, more goals scored, the same goal difference, right? But more goals scored. 26 to 24 compared to Atlético Paranaense. But Cap only plays this round on Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. against São Paulo, away from home at Morumbi. It's also a very tough match. Maybe this point was very important, even for Bragantino to get into the top 4, depending on the result between São Paulo and Atlético Paranaense. Now, Ruth, before we continue our debate, I want you to pick, since you've already given some spoilers, the best player of the match, my friend. Who was the best on the field for you?
With this Fluminense draw, I'll pick Ignacio because he scored the equalizer, gets involved, pushes forward, and goes into the box to head the ball. He already had some good chances, right? So I'm going to put Ignacio as the hero of the match, right? I don't know if he was the best in the game. He came in during the second half, but he had that spark. Tied the game. So I'll put Ignacio there as the best player of the match.
He's a hero? It's unlikely, but that doesn't change the fact that he's a hero. Now, Rudy, man, we're also talking a little about these players, right? You mentioned Hulk coming in. It doesn't really change the dynamics much, right? Like we said, man. Fluminense now has 4 center forwards, and the one who just arrived cost $10 million, the most expensive signing in the club's history. A player who is already older, which is Hulk, a player who is a fan favorite, which is Kano, but who doesn't perform technically like he used to. And there's John Kennedy, who's a guy that's had a good year with ups and downs throughout his journey. For Fluminense, he scored what I think we can say is the most important goal in the club's history. But at the same time, in the following years, he had those ups and downs, even went out on loan for a while, came back, and this year he found himself again. But, the situation with the attack isn't really settled, right? And today we saw 3 of them on the field. I think if he could, Sao Meudia would have put Castillo in too.
He was the only one missing, right? I think he just couldn't put him in because there were no substitutions left.
But if there were more, for sure. So I wanted to ask you, man, because, the fight for a starting spot is real. How do you see that for this second half of the season? Some people say John Kennedy could be transferred. What do you think about this?
My friend, so I think Hulk coming in gives us some peace of mind in case an offer comes in for John Kennedy, right? But at the same time, you can't just take him out of the team. For him to be transferred and for Fluminense to profit from John Kennedy, there's also the matter of percentages, since you pay a certain amount and Fluminense retains a share. So it's not the full amount, so you really have to evaluate an offer carefully. At the same time, you feel a bit more at ease if John Kennedy leaves. He's a club asset, maybe the most valuable player there, one of the most valuable to get a good offer to leave, right? But I think you have to use the guy. Hulk naturally takes that spot, right? He actually played a good game, didn't he? We expect more from Hulk, right? He's not a kid anymore. Age is catching up. The years are going by. But he, as much as possible, played a solid game like we've already talked about this. John Kennedy also needs playing time. You can't just leave him on the bench. He's the team's top scorer this season. He's the 3rd top scorer in the Brazilian league. So you have to put him into play. You have to find a way. I think Zilberdina needs to train different ways to play. Today, it was all about pressure. There was no tactics. He just went for it. They were a man down. That's not a situation you'll always find. So he needs to train and figure out how John Kennedy will fit into this team with Hulk as a starter. Doesn't John Kennedy start? Obviously, there's the Libertadores, the Copa do Brasil, the Brasileirão. This squad will definitely rotate. You'll have to rest some players in certain competitions. That's natural. So there will be room for everyone to play. But that starting lineup, the one you pick and say, this is the starting team. I think right now it's Hulk, and Hulk theoretically did well. You have to appreciate the game he played, and I think Zubeidi Zilberdina liked that and should keep him as a starter for the next games.
Now, on the other hand, you said, uh-oh.
Sorry, John Kennedy was sent off, so he'll miss the next game.
There was that too. He missed the opportunity, right?
Exactly.
Now, you talked a little about tactics. I also wanted to ask about the other side, right? Bragantino, tactically, they were perfect, right, man? They were doing well. They were coming along well until the first sending off. And I think that already changes the face of the game a bit. But I think Wagner Mancini can leave the Maracanã today. Proud of his work and the assistance, because Bragantino's team was doing well and had a good strategy. Even playing away, they didn't sit back. He drops the line slightly, but pushes up and presses when needed, and he had the lead until the game changed a bit, right?
So the game was risky for Fluminense, and Bragantino could have made it 2-0, right? Since Fluminense attacked early in the second half, Bragantino, as you mentioned, didn't just defend, they also managed to launch counter-attacks and more, right? Passing the ball around, moving it, Fluminense in those first 10 minutes had a hard time. I thought the game would be Fluminense attacking and Bragantino just defending, but it wasn't like that. It starts there at 2 minutes, Fluminense attacking, pressing, and suddenly Bragantino has the ball, keeps it for 3 minutes, moves it from side to side. Bragantino has a strong team, and Wagner Mancini deserves credit too. Many claim he's a defensive coach like Tite, or say that's just how Brazilian coaches are. Man, Bragantino's team is playing really well, really well. They deserved it. I think it was just chance. There too, the sending off, that really hurt Bragantino's style of play. They had everything to win this game, but it was decisive. The red cards, right? And Fluminense's fight, Fluminense's struggle, right?
Well, now we're going straight to Maracanã to talk to him. Thales Teixeira, my dear, good evening to you once again. Man, you were there in the Maracanã stands. You experienced it up close. How was the atmosphere of the match? I want to hear from you. What experience can you share? What did you see? For those watching on TV or you at home listening to our broadcast, it's different from being there directly at Maracanã. Tails, Taleko, what did you notice in this match that only you saw?
Good evening again, Borja, Jerry, and everyone watching us on Lance TV. That's it, man. I saw Fluminense very nervous, and I saw the fans too, following the team, also very nervous. But the fans obviously are a reflection of the team, right, man? The team couldn't impose their style of play against Bragantino at home. Bragantino, on the other hand, knew exactly how to play this match, breaking up the game the whole time, right from the start, slowing things down. They set up a strong, organized defense and played very well. Bragantino's team is very physical with many tall and strong players. They like this kind of clash, this head-to-head physical confrontation. And Fluminense is a more technical team, but they couldn't impose that technique. Here today at Maracanã, I'd even say that Fluminense was a bit surprised. They seemed a bit lost on the field, throughout the whole match. They managed to score a goal at the very end with Inácio in a scramble right at the last moment, and Bragantino scored with Sergio. Sasha was there on the counter-attack after winning the ball back. Once again, Fluminense tried to break through that block and couldn't. Bragantino made a quick break, a fast move, managed to connect on the right wing, crossed it, and Sasha finished. At the far post, Sasha headed it in, making it 1-0. And then Fluminense started to struggle, right? After Bragantino's goal, the team from São Paulo started to break up the game even more. Thiago Volpe, the goalkeeper from Bragança's team, was always going down. The whole team was going down, asking for medical attention. All the substitutions were really slow anyway. And the Fluminense fans lost their patience, and they lost patience with some players too. René was the main target of the fans. René, who had a really bad game today. He didn't play well. Fluminense's left back, Guilherme Arana, is still getting back into shape, right? He's still recovering and isn't ready to play yet, so René started today. Also, Hulk got a few boos at times, and towards the end, the fans started to lose a bit of patience with him too. You guys were talking about him a little earlier, right before you called me here. Hulk, man, it's okay. He took on a bit of responsibility, but he just couldn't hit the target. In these games, he had a few chances to score and couldn't do it. He shot wide. The truth is the fans were expecting a bit more. Yeah, from Hulk, and we also saw John Kennedy come on during the match. He really wanted it, played really well. He even got sent off, that's true, because this Bragantino game ended up frustrating the Fluminense players because, like I said before, it's a very physical game, a really tough match, and the referee wasn't calling every little foul, so it ended up frustrating both teams a bit, and John Kennedy came in at full speed. There was even some doubt, right? A question among the fans before the match whether Hulk should start instead of John Kennedy, and then Zubeldi ended up choosing Hulk. As the game went on, because they had to go after the equalizer, he put in John Kennedy, ended up also putting in Germancano, and ended up playing with 3 guys up front, right? But what I really missed today in the Fluminense team, in the tricolor squad, was that connection. Lucio Costa was really off today. Fluminense depends a lot on the little guy. He's been like that even before the break for the cup. He wasn't doing that well in these last 2 friendlies either. He didn't play that well. In these last 2 friendlies, Fluminense played with a lot of close passing, trying quick touches, triangles, playing 1-2s as we call it in soccer, but he's not managing to do that. Savarino was also well below his usual level today, and they're the 2 guys who make this team work, Lucio and Savarino. When Lucio is overloaded, Savarino steps up. And that hasn't been happening, not in these friendlies that took place during the Cup, and not today either. In the 19th round of the Brasileirão against Bragantino, neither played well, and Fluminense relies heavily on both. Well, that's what I felt from here. René was really poor. Freitas, who ended up coming in for Milan, who got injured right at the beginning of the game. In the first half, he was booed right from the start. Came onto the field, got booed, touched the ball, got booed, missed 1 or 2 passes there too, got booed again. But the main target of the fans here today was René, and the fans who got impatient, and with good reason, right? The team didn't play well, the team couldn't play against this Bragantino. Yeah, the fans booed a lot, and only at the end now, in the dying moments when Inácio tied the game, the fans could enjoy a not-so-bad Friday, right? It's worth remembering that Fluminense's last defeat was against Rivadavia here at the Maracanã in the group stage, and today they were losing until virtually the final play. And Rivadavia, which is the team Fluminense will face now in the Libertadores, the first game here at Maracanã, and then the second leg in Argentina. So my friends, the tricolor fans, will have a bit of a heavy heart to enjoy this weekend. But it could have been worse. They could have left here with a loss, and an annoying loss, because the impression we got from here is that there wasn't really a game. It's just that the game was very chopped up by the Bragantino team, but they played for the result. They could have easily left here with a 1-0 win. But Fluminense fought hard and until the end managed to get this draw, so it's 1-1. It wasn't the best outcome for Fluminense fans, but they can still have that beer and enjoy the weekend with at least a draw. So Fluminense goes to 32 points in this Brazilian championship, my friends.
Thanks, Thales Teixeira. We're going to let you go. You'll head to the press conference too to bring us the best of what Professor Luis Ebeldia will say, what he's going to explain as well. So, brother, take care, and we'll see you later at the press conference. So,
Awesome.
he brings testimony that we don't experience here. Man, there were boos for some Fluminense players, which was natural. We've already talked a little about this. Man, in a team of the size with teams from Serie A, Serie B of the Brasileirão, when the bond between the fans and the team breaks, I think it suffers a lot, right? And a team like Fluminense, which, as we mentioned here, depended on its fans for a long time, man, had a magical 2023. Incredible partnership, 2004, man. If they didn't get relegated, I think, 90% of it was because of the fans. Yeah, when that bond is broken, it really gets in the way, right? We saw statements from Tails, from people who were there, from those who experienced the head-to-head at Maracanã. That's just how TV is, right? No way around it. And man, like getting booed right away on the first play after a month and a half without bothering the fans. Rui getting booed in his official debut, trying to play, trying to get involved. After spending time without playing at Atlético Mineiro, playing only a few minutes because of problems with the coaching staff. Man, there are some things that are unbelievable, and I think Fluminense fans need to have a little more patience. Sometimes too, right?
Man, it's hard to talk about patience with the fans, right? Especially when you're there at the stadium, nervous, anxious, losing the game since the first half, right? So I understand in a way the dissatisfaction of the team, but you have to give support to the players, right, man? You have to support them, don't you? The guy didn't even get on the field, like you said, more than a month without playing, without causing any trouble, right? To the fans, fresh fright didn't pose any threat. For you, Fluminense fan who was there, relaxed, watching the World Cup, right? Then, in the first game, you go and boo the player as soon as he comes in. That naturally takes away the player's confidence, and he didn't play well, right? You see, in the second half, he improved. He even got into the box, headed the ball, took a shot, and that shot he took in the box, in that scramble, that builds confidence. You think, man, I can be useful too. I can help the team. Man, I just got in and they're already booing me. That definitely weighs on you. That stays in the player's mind and influences them to perform even worse. You have to praise when they do well, and you have to boo when they do badly. But when the game is over, if they played badly, boo them. Or if you watch the whole game and it was really bad, boo them. It's part of it. Curse them out in the stadium where you have to yell, where you have to boo, but with discipline, please. But man, you have to let the player play, right? You don't need to boo as soon as the guy comes in. No matter how bad the previous performances were, I know the reaction, the memory of the mistakes is still very fresh. But it's nothing outrageous either. Talking about Freitas specifically, it's tough, right? Who there is really outstanding in defense? There's Freitas, Ignacio, who came in and scored the goal, man. He was the hero of the game. Milan, the Jamies, it's tough. You don't have a truly great defender there. Thiago Silva came in, and like you were saying, we hope that Thiago Silva can raise the level of the others and that the fans have a little more patience. The fans booed. But in the end, they could have also applauded the team's fight for the draw. It's because it's not the result they wanted, and often they don't take into account that there's an opponent on the other side, Borges. Man, there's Bragantino who plays good soccer, who's been playing well. It's not just this season. They've been playing well for a while now. Bragantino really challenges teams. They've beaten Flamengo, Botafogo, and more. Yeah, I'd have to get the full list, but it's Bragantino, man. If you think about it, they've beaten all those teams in Serie A over the past few years, right? Since they became Red Bull Bragantino, they've had investment, good players, they do consistent work, so they're a dangerous opponent. If it were Palmeiras, if it were a derby against Flamengo or Vasco, a loss or a draw, then maybe the fan would think, okay, it's a derby. It's a tough game. Playing Palmeiras is tough too, but Bragantino is really tough. We were talking about this before the match. You have to be a little more patient. It's hard for you, the fan, to hear me saying that we need to ask for patience with the team. When you're dissatisfied, but sometimes it's better for you to encourage than to boo, especially when the player has just come into the game.
That's right, my friends. This is the analysis from Lance TV about the match between Fluminense and Bragantino, which ended in a 1-1 draw. The teams remain at the top of the table, with Fluminense in third place in the Brazilian Championship. Bragantino moves up with the draw, earning a point at the Temple of Football to take fourth place. Still waiting for the rest of the 19th round, Atlético Paranaense, which is currently in fourth place, will play next Wednesday against São Paulo. That was Lance's analysis of this great match.